Good morning. You're listening to the Blaine's World podcast that can be found each week on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You can also listen in on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and get more information and listen to previous shows at our website, which is behind me, blainesworld.net. I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield. I'm here in my Zoom studio in lovely downtown Fairview, North Carolina. And I'm speaking today about some really cool organization in the area called Root Cause Farm. And I'm speaking with, um, let's see, with Sedona Lewis. And Sedona, you can wave to all your fans and friends who are watching this on YouTube. Okay.
Hello.
And that is, hello, Sedona. That is Sedona. Sedona is now, let me see if I have the title right. It's the Fundraising and Communications Coordinator for Root Cause.
Correct.
Okay. And so the question I always ask the first time I meet somebody is, as a kid, you grew up where?
I grew up in a little town called Steamboat Springs, Colorado.
Okay. When you're growing up in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, I love that name. Did you always know you wanted to be involved with a nonprofit such as Root Cause Farm?
Not really, honestly. My mom grew up, we had a huge garden, and
Oh, okay.
so I grew up gardening, but I think I perceived it as, it was a chore. It was something my mom kind of made me do for most of my childhood. And it was interesting in university. I guess I'm kind of jumping into my background, forgive me,
Right.
but
No, but please, yeah.
in university, I came full circle and ended up studying horticulture and sustainable agriculture. So I think it was being involved in local food systems and working in gardens is something that I grew up doing, but it took me, yeah, 20 some years to figure out that's what I wanted to do for work.
So before that, did you have any other goals as a kid you wanted to do? Do you recall anything else?
Um, I remember wanting to be lots of different things, a doctor, a teacher. I thought I was going to be a teacher for a while, and it's awesome because I do get to lean into some of those skills with my current job.
I was going to say, and I'm sure you're doing lots of teaching,
Yeah.
with what you're doing. So you grew up there, and then when did you work your way out to this area?
Uh, I I followed my heart. I met someone, and we he is from Asheville, and so I moved out here to be with him. In let's see, 2023. No, I'm sorry, 2024. I moved out here to be with him, and then we started volunteering at Root Cause. We heard about it through um, we were at a conference for an amazing local organization called the Appalachian Sustainable Agriculture Project, ASAP. We were at a conference and we heard someone from Root Cause Farm speaking, and she said, "Hey, like you can come out every Sunday to volunteer." So we started coming out and got to know the team, and then my position opened up, so I applied and was accepted.
So if ever there was a perfect position for you, this seems to be the perfect position for you, in terms of,
Yeah, I mean, in many ways it is. I think that in the reality of our modern lifestyles and just the world today is so much happens over the computer. So I think that the computer work is kind of the means to the end. And I'm not completely in love with the computer work, if I'm going to be totally honest, but the end product and the work and the impact that we're having is pretty dang close to ideal for me. So yeah.
well, especially given that, you told the story as a kid you grew up. Is your mom still around?
Oh yeah.
So you have to tell her then we were talking about her today and we'll send her a copy of the clip. But that's really cool. So full circle, you came back to working in gardens.
Yeah.
And for the benefit of the folks who don't know um, about the farm, if you could
Mhm.
kind of tell a little bit about it, because it's kind of a real cool place that still a lot of people don't know about. And that's one of the reasons you're on the show today. What is the farm all about?
Yes. Root Cause Farm is a nonprofit farm in Fairview, North Carolina that grows food using the power of volunteers and then distributes everything at no cost to people in need. So we call ourselves a community solution to hunger. And we were founded on the idea that everyone is hungry for something and everyone has something to give. So maybe you're hungry for healthy, locally grown produce. Maybe you're healthy for learning about how to grow that food. Maybe you're healthy or you're hungry for physical exercise, connection to the land, connection to community. Root Cause is really a place where everyone can come to find the nourishment they need. And then everyone also has something to give. And so, whether you can give money or time, or we have an option where you can donate produce to the Share Market, which is our food distribution program. Whatever you have to give and whatever you need, our goal is to be a community hub for nourishment.
So now at the farm itself, which is ironically right down the road from where I live, so people come and they volunteer to work in the garden. That's one thing they do.
Mm-hmm.
And how does that work out? They go to the website and sign up, or they stop by? How do you get
Mm-hmm.
involved?
There's a couple different ways you can volunteer. The easiest one is during the growing season from about March through November. This year they'll be starting on March 8th. We have drop-in volunteering sessions every Sunday afternoon from 4 to 6 p.m. So no need to RSVP or do anything. You just show up at the farm, bring good shoes and a water bottle, basically. And yeah, we put you to work for a couple hours and we'll find a task that feels good for you on that day, depending on your how physical you want to get. So that's the easiest way to get involved is to come by on Sunday.
And that date, do you have people come by who have never done this kind of thing before?
Oh yeah. No experience required. Kids are welcome. All ages, all abilities, all anyone can come.
That's really cool. So kids, how young are the kids sometimes come by?
I mean, we have a lovely family who comes and volunteers quite often, and the baby boy is less than a year, and he's just tagging along. And then I think a little girl's like 2, 3 now, maybe. So that comes to mind. And it's all like they're helpful in their own way. But we also have play structures scattered throughout the farm for kids to do just to
Well,
play.
what sounds nice about it too, so you're not committing like a full day, it's just a couple hours is the
Mhm.
session.
Yep. 2 hours, 4 to 6 p.m.
And that's really cool. So that takes care of then the whole week's effort or in between.
No.
I was going to say
Yeah.
that. So
hmm
how does it work in between?
So if you want to, we have our drop-in volunteering
Right.
and we have the opportunity to host groups. So this is, for example, if you own a business and you want to do a team building day you know, with your company, you can schedule a time with us and it's usually in the morning and you'll come out with your group and we'll lead you through tasks. And it's the same thing where like no experience is required. We get people from universities and banks and insurance firms and all types of folks come through. So you can schedule a group to come out and volunteer with us if you'd like.
What a great idea to schedule it. They would contact you or they'd contact through the website, this information
Mm-hmm.
about how to do that.
Yeah, the best way to do it is to reach out to our farm manager. His name is John McNair,
Okay.
and you can contact him at garden@rootcausefarm.org is his email.
What's such a cool idea you're giving me? I've never thought of it before, but you mentioned organizations. Has anybody ever done a party there?
Yeah, we do host. Our goal is to be a community gathering space. So
Right.
if you want to have parties, or the Fairview Business Association comes out and does
Oh,
has had meetings there before, and we're hoping to do more kind of community gatherings like that. But yeah, you can definitely reach out to me. I'll say this again at the end, but my email is info@rootcausefarm.org. You can also find all of this information on our website, which is rootcausefarm.org.
I like that. So is that your nickname, Info? That's what they call
Yes,
you?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
Sedona.
short for Sedona.
Okay. But I love the idea that you're giving me because what a
Mhm.
great idea for an individual. And I'll get back my mind to be productive. I have a working party, where
Mhm.
you're doing something for the
Yeah.
community. And nice thing, so it could be just a couple of hours. You don't have to spend the whole day there if you don't want.
Yeah, our volunteer sessions are usually 9 to 11 or 9 to noon, something in that range, and we can work with you. We're pretty flexible.
And very manageable. So again, even if
Hmm.
you have no experience, but you put
Yes.
them to work.
Yes. Yep. No experience required. And
Okay.
that's like something we talk about a lot is in kind of the direction that like as we're growing, we're thinking a lot about the education that we're doing and really what community food security means. And in a lot of sense, in many senses, food security means making sure that everyone in your community is properly nourished and fed. And so we are doing that with our every week we have a no cost um, food distribution market. We call it a share market. And you can imagine it's set up like a farmer's market with big tables with all the beautiful fresh vegetables on it. And you walk through and you take what you need. Um, so, oh, I just kind of lost my train of thought because now I want to talk more about the share market. Um, those markets are partnered with an amazing local organization that's called Bounty and Soul.
Okay,
And
sure.
so through with their help, we're distributing food that feeds over 140, well, I'll say over 120 families every week is a
Now,
more
where does
accurate
that take
number.
place? So I think I'm getting it. So they come, people volunteer, you produce the food or grow the food, and then it
Mhm.
goes, somebody takes it from there to someplace where they can get it.
The food distribution happens right on the farm,
Okay.
and that's every Tuesday afternoon. From 3 to 4:30. Those are our share market times. And, we don't just in these markets are partnered with Bounty and Soul and both organizations, we work very closely with them and we both really believe in creating a dignified experience for folks. There are many food banks and organizations out there that are doing very important work. And most often what's being offered is packaged, shelf-stable items. And this is an opportunity for you to get farmers market quality produce. And I mean, asking for help is it's a really vulnerable thing. Like I often like to think about like when was the last time that you ask someone for help
Right.
and maybe it was a small thing, maybe your car died and it needed a jump or something and you asked a stranger at a gas station, like even that isn't the easiest thing to ask someone for help. And food is such an essential thing that when you are food insecure, when people are food insecure, it's very vulnerable. And so when people come to our markets, and this is the same with other Bounty and Soul markets, they we don't ask any questions. The only question we ask is how many people are in your household. So that way we can track how many people we're serving. Because, someone may drive up in a nice car and be experiencing, you know, and be very food insecure. Like you never know someone's life, you never know their story. So we're all about creating this inclusive environment and a really dignified experience for folks to come and access farmers market quality, nourishing produce.
So in terms of accessing, they just come then, you said, was they come? What day was it?
Tuesday
Okay. And
afternoons.
it's just a drop in, whoever
Drop
shows
in.
up.
Hmm.
And does food ever run out, or do you have a problem where you
So
don't have
we're
enough?
so lucky to partner with Bounty and Soul because so we grow everything that we grow on the farm, we distribute at our markets. But as you can imagine, our production varies throughout the season. In the
Sure.
springtime, we're not producing as much as we are in mid-August, and then it wanes back down again in November. So Bounty and Soul sources food they rescue food from grocery stores. I think they do some purchasing and they also source from other local farms. So thanks to them, we're able to provide a consistent and abundant variety of produce from March through November. And we never have an issue with food running out thanks to their support. They supplement what we offer throughout the year as our production wanes and ebbs and flows.
And in terms of the food, talk about what kind of food are you offering?
We grow, we're mixed veggie production basically. At the farm, we do use organic growing practices. And we grow everything we grow lots of greens, kale collards and Swiss chard, lettuce and beets, carrots and onions and peppers and cucumbers and little cherry tomatoes. And another really fun aspect of the share market is that we have the opportunity for home growers, people who have backyard gardens, or really anyone, to come and donate produce that can then be distributed. So, when zucchini season rolls around and everyone has zucchinis coming out of their ears, you can come and drop off your extra zucchinis at the farm and we'll distribute them to people in need.
And do people do that? Make
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Now, are you involved in this also, even though you have fundraising and communication responsibilities? Do you work in the farm at all also?
I don't too much. We're a very small team. We don't have any full-time employees, and right now we only have three employees. We have an executive director, the farm manager, and then my position. So we're quite small. And at this time, I don't do any farm work, but that's my background. That's what I worked in before, and I do get on the farm sometimes. I
Well,
do.
since you mentioned the farm director. Who's the other person you mentioned? Who's the
Our
executive director?
executive director, her name is Nicole Costin. She's lovely. She just joined us in, let's see, October, I believe. So she's been with us now 3 months-ish. Um, and I think I'm getting that timeline right. And she's great. Um, and then our farm manager, his name is John McNair, and he just completed his third season on the farm. So this coming 2026 year will be his fourth season. And he has over 25 years of growing experience, and oh gosh, he has such a plethora of knowledge. He's such a skilled grower and an amazing teacher. And anyone who comes out to volunteer can speak to the way that he gently conveys information. And it's really incredible because, for example, last year, 2025, we grew over 14,000 pounds of produce and distributed it. And John is our only actively farming employee. And he's not, I mean, he is technically full-time in the summer. He's not a full-time year-round employee, but basically, like, one guy is directing some interns but also mostly volunteers. We see over 80 volunteers every single week. And so one guy is orchestrating all of these people to grow food. And I mean, if you've ever led a volunteer group, you know how hard that is, if anyone has. So
Well,
anyway, I just love to toot John's horn because he never toots it himself.
we'll talk about then the organization. So it's run by the three of you kind of thing, but
Hmm.
you also have a board, right? That kind
Hmm.
of is involved in the organization as well.
Yep. We're a nonprofit, so we have a board of directors and they provide leadership and oversight and financial guidance. Well, they determine financial goals and such, and they're, I guess, kind of our governing body. Hmm. And
And so
and
talk.
yeah, our board is, I mean, we have a wonderful group of people right now. A lot of them are based in the Fairview community. And Fairview is being outside of Asheville, it's an unincorporated town. And I know you know this, Blaine, because you live there. Or you live, yeah. But it's unincorporated, and to be completely honest, the first time I drove through Fairview, I was like, oh, this, it doesn't look like much, if you just drive through. But after working at Root Cause for a year and really, well, more than a year now, and really spending time, man, I just am blown away by the quality people. Everyone is so friendly. Like, people are just really like salt of the earth. It's a multi-generational farming community, and that integrity really shines through. And that is how Root Cause came into being. There was a group of people in around I guess 2007, 2008, and they saw the local food pantry, which is called Food for Fairview, and they noticed that there were no fresh produce offerings. All that was available was shelf stable stuff. And, they said, hey, like people need fresh food. What if we grow it and give it away? And so the land that we are currently on was donated. It's a bit of a long story, but it was donated through the help basically of a church and the Ager family, who own and run Hickory Nut Gap Farms. And so they were able to acquire this land where they started this community garden and started growing food, distributing it to people through Food for Fairview, and educating people along the way. Because maybe this is where I lost my train of thought before, but food security is really about making sure people are nourished, but it's also about making sure people know how to grow food for themselves. And so we're really excited to educate people. And John, especially, I've only been there since John has been the farm manager. I haven't experienced any other farm manager, but he is, yeah, such a great teacher. And we get really excited about sharing this knowledge because it is connecting us to these processes of life that sustain us, that our current, modern societies have become so disconnected from. And true food security is a community that can provide for itself, and that's what we are. That's what we're growing.
And actually, I love how you describe Fairview because that's kind of how I feel it is. And one of the great things about Fairview, you drive through it, and so after you come to the farm, you can of course go across the street to Hilltop Ice Cream, and that's
Mm-hmm.
in terms of sustaining people, that's I think the best and local joint, and just so many cool
Mm-hmm.
places in
Yeah.
Fairview
And
that
everyone is so supportive. And oh gosh, yeah, I love Fairview.
so I do too. So you mentioned that every week, so you have that's a good number of volunteers. You have up to 80 people volunteer.
Mhm. More than 80. Mhm.
In the process. And so let's go back to what you said. So the best way to find out more, aside from visiting
Mhm.
the farm or stopping by, you just go to the website, which is where?
Rootcausefarm.org.
Okay. And if they go there, what will they find?
Um, I mean, you can click around, and we have a bunch of different pages where you can read about the history of the farm, but you'll also see a calendar of events and opportunities. There's a big donate button if you feel moved to make a donation. We always appreciate that. But a calendar of events. We have a couple fundraising events every year where they're super fun. The whole community gets together. The next one's coming up on February 13th at Cultivated Cocktails, which is a fun little cocktail lounge between Fairview and Asheville. It's called Share the Love, and it's a Valentine's Day themed event. So that's on February 13th.
And so go
Um,
back to that one. So what will happen at that event? So they come, is there
mhm.
food or what happens at that
Yep.
event? Yeah.
So Cultivated Cocktails has food, like they have a menu and they have food to serve. And then also they have, an amazing drink menu. They are a distillery, so they make all their own like handcrafted spirits. There'll be live music from Nikki Talley and Jason Sharp, which is wonderful. They were at our last summer fundraiser event and we loved them. So we're excited to have them back. And this year we're really excited. We're doing something, I believe we're calling it, what we landed on was Fund a Foot. So you will be able to support however many feet of garden bed. So let's say like I want to fund, 5 square feet of garden bed. And then the way that we're kind of connecting it to your life or the donor's life is we're going to give you a Valentine. And so you'll address the Valentine to someone. You'll say, dear Blaine, like this Valentine's Day, I'm inspired to donate, or I was inspired to fund 5 feet of garden bed at Root Cause Farm. Like this is going to help nourish the communities. Like you inspired me to do this because, and then you have a space to write, how that person inspires you. So you're kind of, making a donation in honor of someone. And in that way you are, and we're just going to like build out the whole farm and try and get the space funded.
And I talked off the air about the fact that it's too bad we're not at the farm itself, or not a lot is
Yeah.
necessarily going today. But talk about the farm itself. How large is it, or how many acres,
Oh,
or
yep. Yeah,
what is
thank
it?
you. The whole property itself is about six, just under 7 acres, I believe. But right now we are intensively cultivating just an acre and a quarter we have under production. And everything is done by hand. I mean, I one small caveat, we have a space where we've expanded recently, where we grew potatoes, and we are a neighbor is letting us borrow a tractor. And so we have been using a tractor in this new kind of potato field, but other than that, everything is done by hand. And an acre and a quarter, getting 14,000 pounds off of food off of that much space is no small feat. So yeah, that's how much we have under production, and we're right there in Fairview. Like, we're just like literally 1 minute, less than a minute off the main road. So we're definitely not hard to find. Does that answer your question? Is there
Yeah.
anything
Now,
else
so
I missed?
you mentioned, I never thought about it. So the growing area, does that move
Mhm.
from season to season, or is it always in the same area?
No, it's always in the same area. We have, like, a big fenced garden space. And then in the past couple years, well, really just, it was really just after Hurricane Helene, which came through, and Fairview and the surrounding communities of like Girton and all down Garin Creek and Cane Creek, like those areas were particularly hard hit by the hurricane, as I'm sure you well know. And we knew that we would need to plant more food because there was going to be an increased need. And so we expanded about a quarter of an acre, maybe a little less. And we grew a bunch of potatoes because it's a good thing to grow in land where the soil hasn't been cultivated very recently, but it's also, a hardy thing. And we saw our participation in our food distribution doubled. So before the hurricane, we were seeing 60 to 70 families every week at our share markets. And after the hurricane, we're seeing more than 120 nearly every week. Our average is about 120, and that need, like that level of need, was sustained all through last season. So people are still recovering. A lot of people are still rebuilding, and the economic impact of the hurricane is still really being felt, and that's very visible to us. And we get to know people at the markets, which is a beautiful gift, and hear stories, and yeah, it's just we feel grateful and honored to be able to provide for the community after such a tumultuous time.
So you mentioned one event coming up in February. You also mentioned to me off the air there's another event working past that, another
Mm-hmm.
major event. What's that
Mm-hmm.
going to be?
Every summer, we have a festival on the farm that's called Take Root, the Take Root Festival. And we usually do it the last week of June. We don't have a date set for it yet, but it's on the farm, and it's it's super family friendly. That's kind of the focus. So we have a big bounce house and slip and slide, opportunities for the kids to make these big, humongous bubbles. And arts projects, and we have vendors, food truck, and live music, and scavenger hunts, and also uh, kind of like fun activities for adults, like flower bouquet making, or last year we made cyanotype prints, which are like these cool prints that you make by, it's like a photosensitive solution that you put in the sun. So there's something for everyone. And it's on the farm, and it's wonderful to get people out to the farm.
And that typically runs, what date is it? Do you have a date yet?
We don't have a date set yet. Last year it was June 21st. So the last week of June is what we shoot for. But stay tuned. It'll be on our website, and you can also find us on Instagram and Facebook. Both of those are just Root Cause Farm.
If people want to get involved with Root Cause Farm, aside from
Mhm.
donating money and So
Hmm.
donations are always welcome. How else can people get involved? You mentioned, for example, some things you do. If they have special skills
Mm.
in
Yeah.
social media or something like that, could you put them to work?
Yeah, most likely. We definitely have to be we have to be strategic about our volunteer management just because delegation and is also a lot of work. But yeah, we welcome if you're ready to get involved, if you're excited, my recommendation is to come to a Sunday volunteer shift, see the place, see the garden, meet me if I'm there. John's usually there, and talk to us. Tell us about your skills. And if maybe you're an accountant, maybe you're a social media manager, maybe you're an electrician, um, if we can develop a relationship with you, then yeah, we would love, love, love to have you involved.
And you're giving an excellent idea for folks, and I tell people that too. If you want to volunteer, try to find a place for your skills or interests, and most nonprofits will be glad to put you to work in some fashion or another. The other thing that's kind of cool, I guess you have some volunteers, and you were telling me off the air about this, that have been with you for several years. Is that correct? They keep coming
Yeah.
back?
Oh, yeah. We have some people that volunteer. I mean, they've been volunteering. I don't want to say since the beginning, but like as far as I know, the entire time the root cause. Actually, that's true. Definitely true. There's an amazing man. His name is David Fletcher, and he has mowed our grass, taken it upon himself to mow our grass since day one. So we
Incredible.
have, and that's just going back to the beautiful community of Fairview, Root Cause has really grown out of this community, and we are supported by the community of Fairview in a very, very real way, like in more ways than just monetary donations. Like people in Fairview really show up for us, and we exist because of their dedication and support.
And we should give a shout out, since you mentioned name, to our mutual friend Padma
Ah,
Tavana.
yes,
And,
Padma.
and she just speaks so highly of the organization. It's all there a lot. And she's just a
Hmm.
great example. She just believes in it. And the reason I mentioned Padma is you mentioned Fairview, but the organization is open to volunteers from anywhere in West North Carolina. I mean,
Yeah,
anywhere.
yeah,
So
anywhere.
Padma lives in Batcave, and you have other people who live in Asheville, I guess.
Yep.
And just where it becomes a regular thing. They come every Sunday and they just do their thing.
Yep, every
Or
Sunday.
other
And
times.
it kind of becomes a thing where for Padma, for example, like she has been coming for so long and she knows John so well, that I mean, I'm not sure exactly what days of the week she comes, but she just goes when we're not there. And she does what works for her schedule. And I know she loves to weed. And she just says, "Hey, I want to come, Monday, Tuesday from whatever." She could come at 6 a.m., and we're just like, once we have a relationship, we can really plug people in and we're very trusting. But that relationship needs to be developed first.
What you just mentioned was kind of cool. So if there is anybody listening who loves weeding or something else like that, that you'll
Yeah.
put them to work in some sort of fashion.
Yeah. If you love weeding, come on down. We got weeds for you.
You've been with the organization for a little bit here. Where do you see it going in the future? In other words, you've been there
Mhm.
just about a year. Is that correct?
Yeah, I started in October of 2024. So over a year now, but yeah,
Okay.
year and change.
And so you're involved in two aspects of the fundraising and the communications aspect of
Hmm.
it.
Yep.
Where do you see it going, or just continuing as is, or are there growth plans in the future?
I think the main, like, at this time of year, we're doing a lot of planning with the board, and what we were really talking about down the line, is expanding our educational outreach. We're really pretty perfectly poised or positioned to host school field trips and things like that, but we just don't have the capacity right now with our current staff to coordinate and host. And so, yeah, increasing our like um, like workshops that are hosted at the farm. And our executive director, Nicole, is a registered dietitian. So she's going to start hosting nutrition classes. And we really feel that the education space it's right that it's the low hanging fruit for us. And it's also, yeah, it's like a deeply rewarding endeavor. So that's I envision us expanding in the realm of education.
Okay. And so, Sedona, Lewis, to recap just a couple of things. Again, best bet to get initial information, aside from coming out on a Sunday, is to go to the website. Website
Yep,
was again what?
rootcausefarm.org.
Okay. And also the two upcoming dates were what again? Coming up?
February 13th, we will be at Cultivated Cocktails from 5 to 8 p.m. And then the Take Root Festival will most likely be the last week of June.
Okay, well, I'd like to thank you for being my guest edition of the Blaine's World podcast.
Thank you, Blaine.
I'd also like to thank my producer, Cappy Setti. And one of these days, I'll be walking down and I'll see you at Root Cause. That'd be great.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.